Hello, it's good to see you. Today we are going to be making a super simple little recipe. I'm actually just doing this to use up these two pie crusts. I bought these some time ago and they've been sitting around, and I didn't really have a plan for them when I bought them. They had them on clearance at Aldi and they were really cheap. So I bought them thinking I was going to do something with them, but I just never did. So I wanted to go ahead and use them to, frankly, just get them out of the way, because I had them up in the cabinet where I would still see them on a regular basis, so I wouldn't forget I had them. But they're in the way, so I want to get them out of the way. So we're going to make a simple pie. We're just going to make two of them because I have two of these crusts. Now there is a recipe on the inside of the sticker here, but I decided not to do this one. It was for a dark chocolate truffle pie. And it sounds okay, but I decided I didn't want to make that one. But I did find this recipe on Betty Crocker's website for a chocolate walnut pie. And I thought this one would be a good one to do because it's very simple. And I'm always encouraging people, if you've never baked before, if you think you can't cook, you absolutely can. And I like to pick recipes that are kind of simple so I can show you you can do it. These recipes are great because they give you every single step. They show you everything that you do. The ingredients are simple. I know if you're like me, anytime you see double boiler in a recipe, you run like hell. That's what I do. There's no double boiler in here. If they start calling for a double boiler, I'm out. I'm out instantly. If you start calling for anything to be julienned or sliced or chopped in some crazy way that I'm out. I shut down. And I know a lot of people are like that. Double boilers are like my Achilles heel. No, I'm not going to touch anything with a double boiler. Now, if you can do the double boiler, I think that's fabulous. I'm talking to the people like me. You know, my mother never taught me how to cook anything. Everything I've learned, I've had to learn on my own. And one thing I like to do is try to encourage other people, and tell you, you can do it. You can make this recipe. So with this one, a lot of the ingredients you may already have. When you start to bake or cook, you start to acquire things like, a little bit of vanilla extract or flour or sugar, and you can use some of it, and you can have leftover that you can use next time to make other stuff. So a lot of this you may not even have to get. Now, this crust is not mentioned in here, but this is the one we're going to use. Now, this recipe does call for a crust from a box. It says 1 crust from 1 box, refrigerated Pillsbury pie crusts, 2 count, softened as directed on box. So they're just calling for a regular crust. But I'm trying to use these up, so that's what we're doing today. You also need a 1/2 cup of, it says gold medal all-purpose flour. I'm just going with some Aldi's, the Aldi Baker's Corner all-purpose flour, because this is left over from other stuff we've done. You also need a cup of packed light or dark brown sugar. I have this here. This is also from Aldi. I just have some light brown sugar here. We're just going to use that. Now, since we are making 2 pies, I'm going to have to double the recipe, so I need 2 cups of that. Let's see, we also need salt, 1/8 teaspoon per pie, 2 eggs, 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter, melted and cooled. And for our butter today, we have this unsalted sweet cream butter. This is from Lidl. And we're going to need 6 tablespoons of melted and cooled butter per pie. So I have that. You also need 2 teaspoons of vanilla, a cup of chopped walnuts. So I have my Lidl chopped walnuts here. I should have enough in here. It says there are about 2 cups, so that's perfect. And you need a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips per pie. And I have these lovely Lidl semi-sweet chocolate morsels right here, and I think we should have just about exactly enough for these pies. You need 1 cup per pie, and I think there are about 2 cups in here. And whipped cream, if desired, to put on top of the pie. And that's it. Very basic ingredients, nothing crazy. You don't have to do anything weird or anything. You could totally make this recipe. And you can use pre-made pie crusts. I mean, you don't have to make a pie crust if you don't want to. I'm not making one. I'm trying to use up the ones I have. And they each come in these little aluminum foil pans, you see. So, let me show you how easy this is. All right, I have all of my ingredients together, and we're getting ready to start this. This is going to be so simple. You can totally do this. Now it says the first thing we need to do is get a large bowl and mix together the flour, brown sugar, and salt. That's very simple. But before we do that, I have to show you my bowls. Look here. Aren't they beautiful? These are from Zak, Z-A-K, exclamation point. And I found these in an antique store, but they're not antiques. You can actually, I've seen these on Amazon. Several people have told me that you can get them on Amazon and other places, and they even have these bowls in different colors. I think this is my favorite though. Look how pretty they are. They're made of this nice melamine stuff, and they have these little flecks in them. Aren't they cute? Look at that. So we have a pink, the smallest one, and then a blue one. Very pretty. Look, it's so cool. I found a little shell from a robin's egg outside the other day. And it wasn't quite this dark blue, but these always make me think of the shell of a robin's egg. And then we have this lime green one here. This one's cool. This one's nice. And all the bowls have the same multicolored flecks in them. It's just such a great set. I would recommend hand washing these though. I think it does say they're dishwasher safe, but I always wash mine by hand. I want to make sure they're all right. But I think we're going to do our mixing in this. It says you're going to need a large bowl, plus we're doubling this recipe, so we're going to need even more room. But I think we'll be okay with this one. Okay, now the first step to this procedure is that we have to add our flour, brown sugar, and salt to this bowl. So I've doubled all the ingredients here. Here's the flour. There. And our brown sugar. And salt. Okay. Now for this step, I'm going to use a whisk. We'll see how a whisk does. This is my little plastic Dollar Tree whisk. It works fine. See, when you cook, you don't need a bunch of expensive stuff. Anybody who tells you you have to have a bunch of expensive things, you don't. I guarantee you your grandparents and great-grandparents didn't have, super expensive materials. Well, maybe they had expensive stuff, but I tell you, my grandparents didn't, and they made really yummy food. Okay, so we've combined those ingredients there. The next thing we want to do is add the eggs, the melted butter, and the vanilla. Now I have this little glass container that I found this at a thrift store a long time ago, and I I have discovered I think 4 eggs is about all this thing will hold at once. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yeah, I wouldn't want to try to put any more in there. And I have my vanilla. And my butter I melted in 2 separate containers. That's some of it. Here's the rest. Quite a bit of butter. But again, it is for 2 pies. And now I'm not going to use the whisk for this. I'm just going to use this little silicone little spoon spatula thing. Let's see how that does. You should use whatever works for you. If you want to stir it up with a whisk, you can. If you want to use a wooden spoon, you can. If you want to get in there with your hands and mix it, I don't see why you can't. There are a lot of different ways to do most things. You don't have to do it any certain way. For me, I don't think cooking should be stressful. I think you should enjoy it, if possible. Okay, so we have now combined those ingredients in there, just like that. Next, we're going to add the walnuts and chocolate chips. And again, I have these lovely chopped walnuts. Recipe ready, no preservatives. I'll give that a little stir. It already smells good. And our semi-sweet chocolate morsels. I have to taste them and make sure they're okay. Yep, they're good. And stir in that. It's becoming very lumpy. It's become very thick and lumpy. Wow. Okay. There. And that's it for all the mixing. That's all the ingredients. Now again, it calls for a Pillsbury crust, but that's only because it's a Betty Crocker recipe and they want you to use their products, which is why they call for gold medal flour or whatever. Do whatever you want to. You don't have to worry about it. So now you're supposed to spread it into the crust here. So you can see what this looks like when I've removed the plastic. So it has a lid to it automatically. You can use this plastic part as the lid. But we're going to put some in there. I'm going to try my Dollar Tree spoon and see how that works. Let's see if that does it. Don't know if it can withstand it or not. I already got some on the edge. People often ask me why I don't use metal or wood utensils. I don't use metal because they make harsh sounds on the surfaces, and for the sake of a video, that's not good. And I don't use wood because my mom was always afraid of wooden stuff like this. She was always paranoid that it was full of germs, so I was just trained to never use it. She was also very paranoid when it came to meat. Any meat, she would cook it until it was basically burnt black. So I grew up thinking that all meat was supposed to be charred and crunchy, but she was always afraid it might have germs in it. So she would cook it half to death. Now I'm going to take the plastic off here, and if you have one of these, it's very simple. You just kind of pry it up like this. You just go all the way around. You're just folding it up, just the aluminum foil. Okay. And then you can just pop that plastic out of there. Like that. And it reveals a lovely little crust. And we can just continue. And of course, all those chocolate chips are going to melt when we bake this. There are more elegant ways to do this. I don't care. It does. It already smells good. Look at that. Ooh. It just kind of settles on its own, but you can help it a little bit. Okay, now we have our 2 pies ready, and that's it. Now they have to be baked. We're going to bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and the recipe says to bake it for 45 to 50 minutes or until the pie is golden. So let's bake these and see how they look afterwards. Okay, the pies are out of the oven. They look like big old chocolate chips. Oh my gosh, they smell so incredibly good. Oh, they're still nice and warm. So now that they've finished baking, we're gonna have to let them cool completely before we cut them. So we're gonna let them sit here and just chill for a little bit, and then we will cut them and give them a try. Oh, don't they look so good? Okay, our pies have completely cooled off, and I am ready to cut into one of these. We're just going to take a little bit. We're going to try a little bit of this pie. Got my plate. Isn't this beautiful? I found these at Dollar Tree. I have these little salad plates, and I have dinner plates too. I love this pretty pattern. That's just cool. Okay, let's see if I can get this out. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, I cannot wait to try this. We are now ready to try this chocolate walnut pie. It smells so good in here. Honestly, it smells a lot like, it just smells like chocolate chip cookies in here. Because it has a lot, basically the same ingredients as chocolate chip cookies. Well, depending on how you make them. But it does. It smells like chocolate chip cookies in here. Look at this. Ooh. It looks so good. I think this was a wonderful use of these little crusts right here. Oh my gosh. It smells incredible. I want an air freshener or a candle or something that smells that good. It's fantastic. Now, the recipe does say that you can top this with whipped cream if you want to. And I have two choices here. I have this extra creamy dairy whipped topping by Lidl. I have that one. And then we have light whipped topping by Lidl because I'm all about health. And this is like kale. Look, it's light. This has 60% less fat than average whipped topping. So, there. We could top it with this or this. Wasn't it beautiful when you first open one of these things up? So, I'm going to put a little bit on here, like that. We'll just take this and dollop it on there. So we have just a little bit on there, but I can also try some without the whipped topping. I want to try it first without it. I'll get a little bit of it without it. Well, it's very rich, very chocolatey. Oh, the walnuts are a perfect addition to this. Oh my gosh. Let's try it with a little bit of this whipped topping on here. I missed the topping. Hang on. That's nice too. This pie is really good. It kind of tastes like a chocolate chip cookie with walnuts in it. It's very, very good. Look at that. Oh, wow. I really like this crust with it too. The crust is really good. Now it's very rich, I will say. It is very rich. I'm gonna tell you now, even if you've never baked anything in your life, you could bake this and people would think that you spent all day on it. And it'd just be our little secret. You saw how easy it was? Basically, you just dump everything in a bowl, stir it up, pour it in a pie crust. You can get ready-made pie crust. I bet this would be good with one of those graham cracker crusts as well. Little pre-made graham cracker crusts. This would be good with any kind of crust, really. And, you know, you don't have to tell them how easy it was. Just let them enjoy it. It is delicious. That is absolutely spectacular. It really is. The brown sugar in there, the vanilla, the chocolate chips, the walnuts. Oh man, look at it. And it has this, like the top has like this crunchiness to it. Like a cookie. And you don't have to do anything special or crazy to make it. You don't need a bunch of fancy equipment. You don't even need a hand mixer or anything. I mixed all of this by hand. I didn't use an electric mixer or anything. It all mixes by hand very easily. It's beautiful. Look at, oh my gosh. Wow. That is fantastic. Oh my word. And so simple. So simple. So that, I highly recommend this recipe. If you like chocolate, and you can leave the walnuts out or use pecans or whatever. You can put whatever you want to in here. But if you like chocolate, you have to try this pie. It is so good. Wow. I really wasn't expecting anything earth-shattering with this pie. I'd say it's near about perfect. And I love it with that chocolate nut crust. So that crust was, I think it was by Diamond. Yeah, that was a Diamond chocolate nut pie crust. Ready to use, so you don't have to do anything to it before you put the filling in it. Fantastic with the whipped topping or without. So yeah, and we have two of them as well. I have one to keep and one to share. Look at that. Oh, so there we have it, a chocolate walnut pie on a chocolate nut crust. It does not get any better than that, I tell you. It was so easy to make, so quick, so simple, with just basic ingredients, a lot of which you may already have. So thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this simple little recipe. Definitely give it a try, especially if you've never baked before. This would be a wonderful recipe to start with. And as a bonus, it makes your whole house smell really good. It smells great in here. Thank you again so much for being here. I really hope that you enjoyed getting to see these pies today. Get to see them come into being. Look how pretty. And I hope that you have a wonderful day. I'll see you again soon.